Hey YouTube, so today we are tackling that common struggle, which is how to get your dog to focus on you.
And it is such a common struggle. You think about that dog that's chasing deer in the park, maybe chasing deer in the park, could be chasing deer in the park, chasing squirrels in the park. Maybe that dog who's running off after other dogs, or maybe a dog who really wants to rush up to people with a suit on. You know what? We've seen all of these dogs. We know all of these dogs. Dogs that maybe run off rolling fox poo. Maybe it's a dog that just doesn't want to know its owner. You get to the park, you open the car, you let the dog out for an hour, and an hour later you try and capture them and pop them back in the car. They're just not focused. These are dogs who are not focused, and you're struggling. Tom and I see these dogs day in, day out. They're very typical, and we absolutely know we've got a game for that. In fact, we've got quite a few tips and games for that.
We've got a few. Now, the key here, guys, is that if your dog is putting their attention on you, they're not putting their attention on the environment, which might have exciting things, might have scary things that they'd be worried about, right? And so actually, by working on growing focus with your dog, it totally eliminates so many other struggles as well.
Now, so many people we see day in, day out that actually say you shouldn't use your dog's food and you shouldn't bribe them and you shouldn't train them with food because actually it's just bribery and corruption, and you're not really having end results there. You're not really having what you need in terms of focus. We would absolutely refuse that, and we would say train with your dog's food. Train with your food, because it's effectively a way of you having a conversation together and having a means of communication to say, hey you, I've got something super valuable. This is a good deal. I can have a good deal when difficult things are going on in the environment. So we would say tip one is ditch the bowl when you're looking for a focused dog. And when I say ditch the bowl, you ready, Blinky? Get it? I would play games with my food. So it might be as simple as you've dropped your squirrel and get it. It might be as simple as doing some get it, going out, finding a piece of food, and then back to a boundary. So not get it, not making it too difficult. Nice, super girl, ready, get it. And effectively all she's doing here is having a simple deal of go out, get it, return, and get fed for being returning. She's a returning guest. It's a good thing. She's going to get this food anyway. So why put it on the floor in a bowl when actually I can use this effectively as a bit of currency in our conversation for her to see some value and for me to get some more focus. I see it as a good deal. Do you see it as a good deal, Tom?
I certainly do. Now, one, I guess, addition to that is once you ditch the bowl, actually, and you've got this pot of value, where are we going to put that value? And when we think about a focused dog, what we want you to do is almost break it down to the choices that a focused dog would make. So a focused dog would turn to their owner. A focused dog would probably stay close to their owner. A focused dog might look at their owner,
right? A focused dog might be the sort of dog that you feel proud to get out and about and walk with, and you feel able to walk with. Like Tom said, a dog that turns to you, a dog that looks at you, a dog that hangs out in close proximity to you. All of these things are possible things to be rewarding and actually using effectively your currency for. You can be using that to spend on correct and cool behaviour.
And the cool thing is that it's quite simple how to grow that and get our dogs making that choice more. When we catch them doing it, we reward them. Now that might be at home, that might be in the garden, that might be as you set out on your walk, you're going to catch your dog orienting to you, catch your dog looking at you, just catch your dog staying close. And some of you might be thinking, well, but if my dog's doing it anyway, then why should I reward them? Because what we reward, we get more of, right? So as we reward our dogs for these great choices, they're going to do it more in the future. And ultimately, that's what we want more.
So when we're thinking of focus, like Tom said, how does focus look? Capture it. And when you think about capturing it, how are you going to capture it and what are you going to do? So you've got lots of different options here. In terms of capturing, like we said, we've got food. So food, you didn't catch it, but that's fine. I gave you another piece. So number one, you've got food. So you've got food and you've got your currency there. You might reward and capture it with toys. So you might say, that was amazing. Have your ball. For those of you that maybe go out and you play with your dogs, for me, it might be an opportunity to get their toy and to give them that opportunity for a toy. It may be super praise. It may be, wow, that was amazing. You were super. And she's like, what did I do? So it might be something really, really amazing. You might clap. You might be doing, in fact, we've got a whole YouTube on this, right?
We'll
Tom?
link it below because it's going to be a game changer for getting actually a dog that isn't constantly thinking, is this a good deal? Is it a bad deal? They're just automatically with you and want to work with you.
I'm walking around with a food bowl in my hand.
Yes.
I don't need you to do that. I'm doing this as a point of demo to you, because this
because
might be
we
the
don't have a
first.
shelf,
We
is
don't have a
the
shelf.
reality.
Yeah, actually, we don't have a shelf. That is probably the real reason.
We used to have a shelf.
We
It's
like
gone.
the shelf.
I don't know
We
why.
like the shelf. The shelf seems
Bring
to be
back the shelf.
becoming relevant to most of our YouTubes. But what we would say is when you're using your food, this is really just to show you the principle of it. This might be in a dog training food pouch. This might be on your side or your shelf that we don't have. This could be in a cupboard in your house, and this could be anywhere in the vicinity. You don't have to necessarily keep it on you. And the other thing I would say, for those of you that I can already hear saying, but my dog has raw food, there's a game for that. There's a whole ebook on that. You know what? There's so many different things we can do. And the cool thing about Absolute Dogs, if this is your first time here, or maybe you've been here lots of times, so the cool thing is we'll always find a solution. There'll always be a game for that. So if you haven't already, share this video to other people, because we know this is the space to learn and train dogs. Anyway, more tips.
Next tip would be unpredictable. So imagine if your dog's constantly keeping their eyes on you because they never know what you're going to do next. Maybe you're walking along and suddenly you run away. Maybe you're walking along and suddenly you play one of the games that Lauren's playing where they're chasing the food. It's then in their interest to just keep one eye on you at least, because they don't want to miss out. And I think as humans, we're often very regimented. We think training means discipline and being very, very clear about the rules. That's not training. Training is about inspiring behavior, about having an animated dog, a dog that wants to work with you, a dog that chooses to focus on you because they see you as the best thing in the environment, and being unpredictable is going to achieve that.
Now, some of you may have heard of our podcast. That's the relevance of the one-eyed squirrel. We won't talk about those one-eyed.
In fact, I looked the other day and there are nearly 3 million downloads on the podcast.
Oh my goodness, have you checked it out yet? If you haven't already, get onto Spotify. Well, that's the way I check it out. Spotify is sexier than a squirrel. It's Sexy and the Squirrel, and literally there are so many episodes there.
Yeah.
Or maybe the other ways to find it?
On like Apple Podcasts and any podcast platform, and you can even find them in the YouTube channel. And we've got a section on our page that has all of the podcast episodes, and there are like over 150.
And literally many downloads. It's super cool.
Yeah.
So make sure you get involved in that too. Now, what I'd love to say to all of you, my next and most favourite tip for focus is probably catch. So I think catch is a great way to teach focus. Ready? And she doesn't always catch, but she's got to have the eyes on the prize to be able to try to catch. Ready? Gonna get it? Yay! That was super. You caught the squirrel. And so for me, catch could be food, catch could be toys, and quite impressive today. She's on a winning streak of catch. Oh, get it. And what I really like with catch is whether they catch it or whether they don't. And show us your videos. We love seeing your dogs catching. Tag us into things. You literally just need to tag in Absolute Dogs and we'll do our best to see them. And what I really like with catch is that they really have to be focused to catch. It's kind of like me, someone asked the other day about, I was horse riding on the moor. Both Tom and I horse ride, and I was horse riding on the moor, and they said, God, you've been off your phone for hours. I was like, I really don't do well horse riding and on my phone on the moors. Like, it just doesn't do well for me. And so for me, I've got to be focused. Like if I'm there scrolling on my phone, I can't be probably riding particularly well. And so for me, it's things like catch, it's the same thing. Get it.
Eyes on the prize.
She has to focus, right? Like they have to have their eyes on the prize. And if they haven't got the eyes on the prize, and if you want to make it harder, if you've got a mega catcher, because both Tom and I have mega catchers. Sorry, Blink, it's not you. It's easy for me. But what I would, the dog's called Easy, by the way, not easy for me. I don't catch the food. But what I would say with the catching is literally don't be sad if they don't catch it. If they do catch it, make it a bit harder, so you might throw it higher. Get it? So you might throw it a bit differently because they don't necessarily get it when it's different levels. So I might throw it from there, and you can see get it. That's hard for her, yeah. Whereas to make it easy for a dog at sort of Blink's level is kind of throw it into their mouth. So with her, I help her by throwing it into her mouth. They literally just
have to open their mouth and receive it.
Whereas if you do up and down, get it? You can see that's much harder. So you can play at different skill levels. The cool thing is, doesn't matter what age your dog is, as long as they can physically and visibly see the object, and then playing it this way, if they're struggling slightly more, then actually catching something bigger. So giving them something bigger to catch, I think is also cool. So,
and the cool thing about that is that as you grow that, you can then start to take that out to the environments where maybe your dog doesn't have the eyes on the prize being you. Instead, the eyes are on the prize as in the squirrel, right? And so you can then start to get them catching in those environments. So guys, we've covered a lot of tips there.
A lot of tips. And actually, we want everyone to share this. We really do. It makes a difference.
And the thing is, we could talk all day on growing focus in your dog, but the reality is that the only way that's going to happen for you is if you take action on some of the things that we've already talked about. So share the video. Let us know any thoughts on what future episodes you'd love us to cover, because we've got top tips on everything. You just have to tell us, right? Share the video. We will see you next time. That was this episode of Absolute Dogs TV.
It was Absolute Dogs TV, and we'll see you real soon,
guys.